tried to find a way to justify missing the signs I knew. My hands were tied the moment we met, and there was more to you. You were only 17, and I was your sick release, a hostage on a silver plate to you. Those roads we walked, I'll know forever. Those times we talked, I still remember. Is it not enough that I paid with my heart once, twice? If I'm blind to who you are, which of us was behind bars? Is it not enough that I barely got out with my life? I still carry every scar. Yes,
Good morning, or whatever it is, wherever you are. So, there's a couple of things we need to do. The tile edges is actually a little bit more of a blocker in terms of something that looks good. But I've been kind of putting off this object generation stuff. So I figure, since this is kind of hard to get into like at the end of a session, we'll just start here, see what we can do. So world generation changes over time. And it looks like OneTech already has some version stuff, but I don't think... Oh. Legacy objects. I don't think it includes attribute. Oh, well. Maybe. All right, so this is the version, and it has all of the individual changes in it, which is a lot more data than I need, although it's obviously able to process stuff. I don't know if this is going to be the properties I need, though. Let's see if we can find one of the changes that actually affects us here. So this, I think, is a repository. Yeah, since we're in the GUI already. Oh. This is not fully updated yet, but if we can find a thing that affects data generation, or world generation. Like I'm more familiar with like some of the recent changes that have done that, and we probably do want to update this at some time. Or since we're going to have to update it anyway. Now, I'm sure the process includes stuff to do this. See, this had probably checked out the most recent version. At the time. You have a default? Yeah. So that will kind of leave that in a comparable position. All right, so there was a bunch of changes to desert spawns. Somewhat recently. Oh, but this is not a version that is currently existing. I'm going to have to rerun it. I wanted to go back to find something that affected World Gen. What was the last thing that affected World Gen? Let's see, was this before or after the Bear Caves? Half as common as they used to be. So yeah, this was right after where I had checkpointed before. Well, actually, map chance is one of the things we're interested in. Commit, changing lines matching. A little bit harder to search. It's case sensitive. And still processing, or just no cursor? Oh, things probably have map chance 0. So it doesn't actually. I would need to be able to search for like map chance not equal to 0? Yeah. I mean, it skips some stuff. That's a special case. Grids with a special case. Electrum ore more common. So this would have been 218. Object changes, map chance. Okay. So we could use this. It's a lot of data I don't need. I mean, added objects, but I really only care about added natural objects for the most part. So I need to find the process that does this, and then figure out how I want to use that data. Well, I need map chance and I need the biomes that it goes in. I don't think that changes much. Actually. Okay, it's all by number, so it's kind of hard to tell. Oops. Yeah, all the things that should never respond. Okay, yep, and biome changes. So that's going to be, I hadn't considered things going in and out of particular biomes. Okay. Is this changelog? Fetch versions, fetch version numbers, populate objects, report missing, not by itself. Changelog commit, changelog version. Added objects, removed object changes. Object change. ID attributes. So I need to do a version of this that only looks at, well, what am I outputting now? Right now we're just dumping everything into here, so we only have to load one file. Where we're just, I kind of need to do like a version of that where we do, I want to redo an entire biome. Or do I want to try just doing like a versions? Where we sort of build things up from scratch. So rather than having the biome per se, you have a bunch of versions. Like the first one would add a bunch of stuff. And then you have adds and changes. You'd look them up by ID and then probably just replace properties. At that point, you could do biomes and update all the appropriate biomes. That may be the most compact way to overall represent it. Just requires some data filtering on load to, well, I suppose I'd want to actually build up all the intermediate versions as we went. Or, yeah, I might not have to build up the biome version map that often. Maybe it could be made on demand. So right now, we're doing this like strictly in the world of Or, yeah, we've modified this. This would do a very restricted version of versions, which wouldn't necessarily be in different files. Oops. Is this game data? There's changelog, populate versions, populate objects, export versions as individual files. Export biomes as individual files. Oh, there was a versions array, but that's just the IDs. So this is going to be more like, I don't know, biome versions. So this is coming out of changelog, which is like the only thing we really need changelog for. Changelog commit. We have changelog version. Populate object. Fetch commits. And then he broke this down by individual commits. For data generation, it pretty much has to be versioned, so the question is, I might need to have this build up some sort of cache. We'll see. Populate objects. Add, remove. Difference 1, difference 2. Maybe there's more information in one of those. Looks like I need to go into a commit. And get this to return just certain stuff. Parse changes, objects, transitions. I mean, I might be able to save some processing by turning off other stuff. Added objects, removed objects, object change. Before, after, object changes. Object change. Attributes, attributes. So I might be able to use this data structure and say, well, I still have to handle removals, don't I? All right, so let us see if this actually runs currently. So we do have the issue with, like, I think you have to do like process sprites, but what you ultimately do have to do for our bounds. Yeah, populating versions. And then this is expecting to run it every single change. Well, no, it backlogged everything else. So did that actually fill in? No, there's a separate thing that does versions. Maybe it's download. That ends up including sprites. And sounds. I mean, it's obviously backlogged the versions at some point. Of course, I'm not really calling the changelog doohickey to output that in the final version, am I? So maybe that's it. Game data. Oh, actually, export versions? Probably something we're skipping. Yep. So I guess I probably shouldn't say that if I'm not doing it, huh? All right, so I don't necessarily need to do that. All right, so we populate the versions. Maybe export versions does a lot more. A lot more of the processing. Version slice. Version.json data. So it might build that on demand. Is relevant, map to JSON data. That's the commit. Well, I've added objects, so apparently it's managed to process that already. So we only care about objects with map chances, well, pretty much with map chances. What are we using for biome? So this has already had objects assigned to it. Add objects. If object data biomes and biomes include this biome. So I'm not really going to be able to use your total map chance. So maybe we just filter objects. Filter objects to things that have ever had a map chance. I guess we only need versions that were had change relevant to. Yeah, because yeah, what if you had a map chance, then you remove it? That's a change in map chance. I guess that'll be in the change set. Also, does your first version add like everything, or are you like only? Seems like we probably skipped the first objects here. So we need to make sure we include like the initial. Which I'm not sure this does. There's like changes relevant to that version. Bunch of sprites, few objects. So actually it did start with 11. And then 16. Well, maybe there's not too much. Ground shadows. So maybe he started with people, and there's no naturally spawning objects. Removed all test objects. Okay, well, we can't do that. Okay, well, I guess that might work for building up everything then. Now, so this was an added object, not an object change. The question is it going to get, are we going to get that information? This is the history of everything. So you're 30. From foot index. Added transitions. Yes, there's no information about map chance here. Now, maybe that's never changed. We have added object. But what are the stats of that object when it was added? We are going to care about these things. Now, I guess it's commits that are going to have object data. We calculate object changes. So we calculate that from objects, right? Before, after. If it was undefined, continue. So we don't actually put that in. We're going to put in attribute added. That means if you added map chance to something that didn't spawn before, it would not show up as a change? is 0, return, attributes, attributes. So I need like a version of this. Well, I guess for my purposes, I can almost say, well, ignore everything really, but I have more of a whitelist. So object change, object changes. So I need more like spawnable object changes. But it's like I need to go through every version, determine if it was ever spawnable. So we know what objects to whitelist, or I guess if it was added or removed and it currently has a map chance, it's relevant. If we just added or removed map chance attribute, it could be a problem. All right, so this is commit. Commits are wrapped up into versions. Versions are really the checkpoints where we care. So that's the JSON data for a version. So I need a version of commits. Well, there's added objects, there's removed objects, there's object change. I guess we could look for object changes that are just those attributes. So I could look through this. Well, I need the object at that version. And this is just going to be you're just IDs, right? Oh, so it is an object. Oh, JSON data is going to IDs. Okay, so you do have an object there. So we have added objects, we have removed objects. We have object changes, which I think actually are the pre-computed things. But I actually want to take that back to the object itself. What was a legacy? Is visible. Okay. So maybe some kind of special category? If this ID maybe something that became a category? Object.legacy. If this object ID, if not, is visible. Oh, if this object's ID maybe he removes things from objects as he goes. And if it's not, if it like sort of disappeared in the middle. All right, so we have added objects, we removed objects. We can look at those. We have changes. We have game objects. Well, let's say, does game data then have objects of some sort? This objects. You are a hash, so you're probably by ID. So given an object with changes, I could, well, you're going to be the current version. Oh, version.objects. So changelog this dot objects. Is that going to be like the state when we start? Populate versions. New changelog this dot objects. Changelog populate objects. Version.populate objects. This dot objects. Oh, version last touched? So you've gotten objects that you're looking things up. Clearly in a commit, we're able to get the old and the new version. Oh, he's very specifically doing the Git integration stuff. To get the object. Before this dot SHA. Oh, I didn't know you could do that with SHAs. Interesting. Yeah. So to get a object at a version, so chain commit has a SHA. as a path. All right, so we believe that the first version actually does. Okay, so version 16 had added objects. We can go through added objects. We can look at their current version. And hope it didn't change. But really, I need to be able to say, does the version have... Let's see, commit, get file content, oh, SHA path, so it's at a version. A version I mean, it should have like a most recent commit if we don't have just one that the tag is pointing to. This dot previous dot tag. This dot tag. So this has a tag. Maybe ID is the SHA? Oh, maybe it's the number. Yeah. Which, I mean, kind of gets you there, but I need to be able to say a version's SHA to get the current version of an object. All right, let's see if we can work through this. So we've got... So we had the old export versions. So I'm going to go through versions and get them to put a mini version or a mini format. Biomes even. And I guess I'll still need a list of biomes, but... And this is really only versions affecting spawn changes. And like, do I even want to make this a separate object? It's like you're going to kind of have to do that analysis, or that per object analysis. That's changelog. Well, I guess for intermediate. So JSON data is going to be like actually huge if we just take it as is. We can start with this just to make sure we Haven't broken anything in the meantime. Like that. Okay, so you're in game data. Wait, if it's not main processor, all right, do I already have a, I might, yep. I don't know what I had open there. Pretty JSON. Excuse me? Oh, because I called it spawns. Okay. Game object, game data, thank you. Not the most memorable thing. All right, so we're going through valid versions. We really... All right, so your JSON data is going to be like way too huge right now. I guess for my purpose, I could just like... I mean, I've modified other things. Okay, what was that again? Commit. Stot filter is relevant. There you are. Includes data version number. Ah, okay. Right. So this is commit is relevant. So I need to know. So it's just your constructor. If it added an object with the map chance, if it removed an object with map chance. And this is just, and that's the actual objects. But lookup object is looking it up in mainline objects. Oh, legacy object is a thing that is not in the current version then. File content. On a commit, file content is blah, 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 blah. So I think for my purposes, I want to... I might want to just process this entirely differently because like even added objects is it's going to give me the current version of an object, not that version. I want its stats as it was added. And maybe its stats as it was deleted. Well, I mean, deleted is deleted. That's... So I'm not sure I care about legacy objects. I just want to get this thing and put it in my list of additions. Or removals or whatever. Yeah, because this is cache. It's not getting the current version of this either. And this is like the current state as we process forward. Do I want to cache these? If we're deleting it, then that's still going to be the content. We're only going to add it once. Okay, so the objects array is not used too much then. It's mainly for that. So that should give us the object as it was. Changes. They've got a change determiner. I probably still want just a changed object, and it's like its new version, or just look up its stats. So that's object changes. I just kind of want changed objects. I mean, really, removed objects is different, but I mean, this is an array. Well, I do need changes to know if it was a relevant property. All right, well, given that, can we get something useful out of this? So we're in game data. We want to map this to a method on version, which right now is going over all of its commits and giving you an array of them, which is more than we need. Version ID. I'm going to need dates. What was in the old versions? Okay, commits have, oh no, versions have dates. I don't know this dot date. And then I don't want you to be so much changes or commits as do some like compression of the changes of the commits. So a commit, what we really want is just a list. So yeah, so we can work on commit first. So your data, message, date. I kind of just want an array out of this. Maybe I just do a separate method. It's going to be so different. Uh, so in our biome, we've got, I changed your JSON data, right? Yeah. No, yeah, map objects. Which I'm using that twice now. Oh. So the old biomes thing is still using that? Nope, that was the wrong one. Const data. I lost that. Okay. Sure. It's not biomes. What are you going to be? That was biome. Well, that's the biomes data. So we've got results dot field. Oh, so object is just this. However, if we're going to be doing these individually, we have to do this. And then I guess I'm not, yeah, in the biome compressed version, which I think we're taking out, in a commit, if we added objects, if we removed objects, well, this is just, so I could do like ID removed. That's not IDs. Now I guess we could, if I did more with, like returning an object, we could just do removed IDs. Don't care about transitions. Okay, and I actually need to be filtering these, but now if it changes, I think we just treat it the same as this, but we need, this is where we just need changed objects. I mean, the changes are going to be important for figuring out which objects. Yeah, because it's like if we ended up with an actual thing out of object changes, oh, yeah, changed objects, object change. It can return nothing. So we need to go through, well, I need to say if this returned something, then I need it by ID. I really need just the after for these things, and I don't have a good way to look things up by ID with the code path this takes. I know if change. Ah, okay. Now, we actually do kind of want to look at what changed. And legacy objects are things that are not in our current object database, so I don't think I care. And what do we have for flat? There might be a flat map. I don't really need to map it. Sub-elements concatenated to the specified depth. Defaults to 1. Alright, so I was getting you from version, JSON data. It's not even really commits. It's I think I called this the same method. Okay, doesn't like that. Unexpected token. How? What the? That's a JSON object, right? ID colon, comma property. Maybe because it's this thing, it's interpreting it as function brackets. Why it doesn't handle multiple properties, I don't know. Okay, so it's got a spawn somewhere. I've apparently forgot to call something here. Oh, it probably modified this. So this should be somewhat smaller. And so all right. So also, I really don't need 2 of these for testing purposes. Main processor. And not a mod name. Where do we get edge from? Unprocessed version. Oh, shoot. Well, If I have to do something, I have to do that, which means my file is open on the wrong thing now. Did that actually close? So now we have to be looking at static edge pretty JSON objects. We are in changelog commit. I'm not even using this right now. I mean, because JavaScript is sloppy, that's probably good. He's actually using. Yeah, I guess this is actually, since it's Node, it's using the nicer stuff. You don't have that. I guess maybe that was an experimental thing. Okay. How about flat map then? Uh, what the heck is data? Except pushes. Right, arrays are objects. Maybe this is like browser, not node. I mean, it's an... Okay, first of all, it's an empty array. So why does this work? Maybe I have to call an extra method to populate this stuff? Browser inspector would be real nice right about now. Concat needs the actual individual arrays. Fine. We'll just do array of arrays for now. Jeez. And sort it out later when we've checked the rest of the stuff. So this is still going to be like way too huge. I have not started filtering to spawnable objects yet. What are we using in biomes to determine biome objects? Is that add objects? For each biome, import biomes. We go through is natural, map chance greater than 0. So when we go through commits, what we actually want to do is we want to say okay, this is still a lot bigger than I thought. We didn't get stuck in a loop somewhere, did we? This is going to have no idea about what version we're on. Well, this is commits. Well, actually, this is for a particular version, so okay, 267. Maybe asking for the specific file version is just really darn slow. And every time we see an added or removed or changed object, we have to look that up. This also seems to be going in reverse order. Which, I mean, I guess I can reverse the array. That's commit. Do we have a take? Well, a slice or splice will do it. Slice 2, chop some off the front. So I mean, like, I don't know. 0.10 might get us back to something. I guess I could look up exactly where that bear cave changed. Or we could look at, I might need to reverse it and look at the... $258. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, yeah. So it's mostly empty stuff. So we need to do some cleanup. That's all the desert spawns. Oh, this is just biomes. Okay, unreleased doesn't have a date. So we need to filter out all the empty stuff. And then figure out why the heck we can't do array operations on this. Okay, biomes is not working. That must be something that gets separately populated when you're doing an object specifically. All right, so we need to... So I don't even care. Well, this is me trying to compress... Well, no, each commit has multiple sections. I want to flatten, like double flatten all of the commits. So version... Does flat work yet? Flat is not... I guess Node just doesn't support the flat function? Proposal stages. Oh, they don't have a version. Now this seems to say as a version, whereas these are just yes. Hmm. Okay. So what's the convenient way to do that otherwise? Concat.apply. Of course, I need. I'm doing this twice. Need to specify an array again. And then we have to do it again in version. Which file is it in? That looks like versions. Right, so you're a function call now. It's amazing how slow it is compared to everything else. All right, spawn changes. Oh, and it also removed the empty arrays for me. So now I actually also don't care about versions that don't change spawn changes for my purposes right now. No, this is... Fortunately, I kind of have to build this to know if it's empty. I wonder... It's like spawn data... Oh, I have to figure out... Biomes. Biomes. No, wait a minute. Biomes shows up in, well, when we process actual versions, which maybe... I did see exporting biomes after this. But I mean, this has the objects in the biomes. Oh, I guess we did kind of skip some of the object stuff. Oh. And these are all things that we've built up on demand. But no, it did that and it compared biome spawns. Biomes data. Oh, so there is no like object this dot biomes. No, biomes data this dot biomes dot map. But you don't build biomes by yourself. Oh no, this data attribute equals values. Oh, you... That probably means all biomes. Okay. Which kind of means... that would be the interpretation of that. And I guess... from a data compression perspective, because most things aren't going to move. What did we mess up here? So we just... we should have hit the desert change in that sample set. Feels like those. All right, might take some spamming. All right, so, and then versions. Game data, versions. We kind of have to do this. Unfortunately, doing this is quite slow. V dot spawn chances, spawn changes. Commit if yep, that's a this. Okay, not commit. Oh, it's game object. Game object, thank you. Okay, we might turn a bunch of stuff into nulls. This is actually looking like my other. Oh. What'd I do? Yeah, that's my other stuff. Spawns. So I might have to turn everything into null. That. Oh, because we have to return something from game object. But no, that's the nulls. I'm pretty sure we still have the issue where we're not. No, because all of these. No, those were all desert objects, so it should definitely not be an empty biome list. Yeah, so that might be Bear Cave. Something else changed too. So assuming those are what I think they are, game object. Let's just confirm that. And we're not even getting the biomes. They get very spammy. Okay, so we just have no biome data. Why do we have no biome data? That's result.biomes. This .biomes.map, that's me. Attribute equals biomes. Data attribute equals values. Parse line. Biome 0. So now we're doing versions. We're hitting biome 03, biomes 4. Oh, wait. That's a this data biomes. Not a this. This.biomes.map. So we come along and say when we add this to a biome, perhaps it adds it back to the object. Well, there's add objects. Object.biomes.push this object. No, spawn data. Oh, so actually you are just IDs. Man, it would end up a null if it wasn't there. All right, so the name was for debugging. All right, that has biomes. These all have biomes. Oh, and there is... Now, okay, so problem. Or has he just not fixed Dug Barrel Cactus yet? Cannot be worn as a shoe. Okay, so that's old. Can dig up barrel cactus. So made new object. Should not occur naturally. This is 259. We processed 259. We're not getting that. Oh, this is 259. Okay, so yeah, that was the new object. Wait. No, so this would actually show up as part of 261. Which ended up with nothing? Still biomes 5, so that isn't an issue. We probably looked at the new object and saw that it didn't have a map chance. So this is where I might have to filter the new stats. That's what we need to output. But it changed that attribute. Yes, we check for changes, but we actually changed objects are an array. So as cute as it was to do that, oh, and the new object doesn't even count as natural because it's not. So I don't know if we're going to be able to use this. So we need you, and we have to look at attributes for biomes or map chance. These objects don't have biome set. It's object data biomes, which is not what we're something we're. Oh no, it's before data. All right. Object changes where. This is really more of a change. Change.attributes.mapchance. Map to O dot. All right, what do we got? Map chance 0. Okay. All right, so the name was purely debugging. Now I might want to see how this starts up, so I might want that a little bit longer. It's game data. So let's try that. Now I suspect one of the things that's slow here is getting things out of getting the current version of source control. I might be able to do a cache, but it had to be kind of version aware. Which, well, we're processing things that changed in that commit. I could speed up the befores, I guess, but. This is probably also something where I want to like export, to have an intermediate version of this where I dump it to files as they did before. And then we can just read that back in and append it, because this is particularly slow. And once you get it set up, it's not going to change very much. Map chance 1, biome 0. Oh, I also need to see about like compressing out car. Let me guess. This is also in reverse order. Yeah. So I actually kind of want to do this by object. That probably has to do with the traversal order through get. Because you start at current and go back. Flooded was a naturally spawning object. Maybe that was a early bug. There's probably some. Initially, it was Piggy. Oh, attacking wolf. Yeah, map chant 0. Okay. What do we have to do? So I'm actually going to have a version of this where it's an object. Or a map. So that we can go from ID to object and then overwrite that as it's changed. No, we're going back in history. So actually what we just need is a set of things that have been added to the list already. And then as we're processing a single commit wouldn't. It'd be the version over all of its commits. So commit gets all of its spawn changes. So you have already flattened those. Then we have to filter. It's not a straight up filter either. Because you have to be checking at every step whether it's already in there. Let's see. Would it help to reverse the array? If you reverse the array, then you can go through by key and just assign and then turn it back into an array. Let's see. So what are we getting out of commit? So right now we're doing data, push, filter, map. For a single commit, will not do more than one of those things. So array is kind of fine. So you flattened yourself. We're taking commits in reverse order. Hmm. So now I'm curious. Because I thought these were all set up beforehand. So this is definitely in like the version JSON data stage. Okay, so probably it's fetch commits. And then we build up the change logs, yeah. Okay, so can't do a whole lot to optimize that. Well, except we can probably want to write this out as a file or files with just the information we want. And then we can just sweep through and grab that as we build the final output. So we get each commit's changes. They're going to be in reverse chronological order. Yeah, so the easy way is to do an ID index. Object. So in reverse chronological order. Is that what I think it is? Again, is it in Node? There's keys, so possibly. Unfortunately, they don't. Okay, now this has a version tag on it. So we've probably got it. Oop. So if we could arrange to pass down well, I don't know how much is the individual files versus the fetch commits. It's like if we could pass down like shadowed objects. Maybe we could save some time, but then we're gonna end up reprocessing versions. So we actually are going to want to go a little bit back to the base process where we dump out versions with this stuff into versions, and then we can just scan that and stick it together later. All right, so we shouldn't see the same object twice, and we shouldn't see like a whole bunch of like added or removed. Well, and that's my old stuff. So it says removed of a bunch of stuff that we never added. I can probably just accept that. If we're going through and building up our list of biome objects, we'll just say, well, it's not there. All right. So that is perhaps serviceable. So that was what it used to output. Game data. I don't think I'm, well, ultimately, yes. No, I don't need a version list. This might actually be, yeah, like main processor. Now, assuming that's going to put it in like here, we actually don't want all of these because it's not necessarily going to overwrite them. Now see, this does objects before versions. I'm going to have to flip that, I think. Oh, this isn't going to be the limited version of it. Well, hopefully we only have to do this once. Oh, but then I have to. Well, I think export versions is conservative and it will only do ones that need doing. Oh, I was in Static Edge. We're eventually going to come back and do this. All right, good time for me to get more water. Oh man, yeah, that's totally overlapped. No clue which is which. And with only controller for precision. We did it! There we go. It's a landing pad.
I I I don't know. You'll have to. Um. Okay, so we want educated people, but I'm not seeing. Okay. Let's look at all. Show me all. Is this no filtering? Okay, so there we go. And I want to see my educated school display all university. No, I want to see educated school.
Okay, we're getting a lot of iron. That's good to see. We're finding a whole bunch in this outside area. Okay, we could get down here and use this. Anybody have any recommendations for the neural vacillator?
Oh, she has two knives, wow. Oh. Ah! Oh, too slow. Yeah, can't take any of my stuff off. That was rude. It's like, this is the second time I've been killed by my mother. What is it with this?
So let's go ahead.
All right, welcome back. We're still processing though. I mean, I guess I could have made the remove list. I could have done a removed IDs. But there's not going to be a whole lot of removals, I think. Oh, I wonder if this is still outputting for every version. Well, I can skip the zeros on the other side. This will still tell it it's processed the version. And at least I'm hoping that this is a conservative process. I'm going to have to make it one if it's not. Yep, add not exist sync. So that's changelog.versions. We're probably just going to have like a... Well, I guess they'll have a game data spawn changes when we reload. Yeah. Oh, this must have been the biome editions. Yeah, so this was when Arctic got added. Oh, geez, I did all that and I left the names on. I guess I could leave it on in here and then delete it on the other end? Because that is really nice for trying to figure out what the heck's going on here. Yep, spawn changes 0. All our desert stuff. Okay, so it probably needs to be... We've done all kinds of stuff. I guess you can consider that a work in progress. That kind of ended up being not an important change. Yeah, because I'm eventually going to have to get this... get this to run actually on the other computer where I can do sprite bounds. Which makes me wonder if I should at least have 2 files. But I guess we will get new sprites from time to time. I'm just going to have to figure out what to turn back on when I do need to process sprites. Okay. So game data needs to like re-import versions. You're specifically reversing those. Hmm. So the simpler version of this is we just use our existing versions. It gives us a free path, don't have to do any DIRs or anything. We just need anything. JSON.parse. So you're probably going to have okay, just assign a new field. Import categories, import biomes, export. Can't change this yet. I guess that's what it actually is. And that processed from newest to oldest, so I think I don't want to reverse here. You don't need data. Probably forgot that. Prepare static dir. So the silly thing is I'm going to parse those as JSON and then restringify them, but we do need to do prettyfied versions. No, actually this is part of objects data. And you're an array, so we could almost just do so like you're the super slow version. No, actually we did assign it to an object. Actually, did I check if this was conservative yet? I think I did. Unexpected token. Oh, probably did a line clear there. Oh, this dot. All right, there's ID 16. Oh, I didn't filter the empty ones. Let's see. This dot load JSON. I guess it's constant for me. Oh, also, I wanted to remove the object names. Well, I guess that could be a polishing step. Okay, and there's our desert changes. Doug Barrel Cactus, Doug Barricade, Doug Barrel Cactus. So that was just a load file. So I made this const. Version dot spawn changes dot for each version dot this is version dot spawn changes. All right, so that's the version. Now we've loaded an individual version. It has a spawn changes. So that's a change. Shorthand got me. All right, so for our final output, All right, object ID, chance, biomes to spawn it in, because you do have the objects that are going to spawn across multiple biomes, so hey, why repeat? And that's that. So a biome take this back out. Yeah. So I'm not sure. Hmm. I'm not sure I actually need any of that biome information right now. They're in sorted order. I'm pretty sure I recalculate total map chance. Oh, and as long as I'm here, I should probably deal with the white objects. Yep. I'm not. Hmm. I might actually be able to get where the biomes. Came into existence from other things in the change logs, but unless we start getting a lot of new biomes, that's pretty easy to manage on a case-by-case basis. So I'm not sure I actually need. Where do we import biomes? Some special biomes. Biomes equals. Well, it's really. Nah. Object load. Wrapper.biomes.for each. ID, which, well, I guess if a biome got removed, maybe would matter. Objects. We recalculate the map chance. Grid placements, I think. Where do I get you from? That's from general object master, if it has the name. Okay. And then we do biomes. Total chance weight, after we've done that. Yeah, I'm not sure that I need the biome list per se. Oop, that was the JSON file. Oh, this is, wait, spawns changes. Okay, that's a little bit more consistent. Also, I think I've been actually using the published one. Where was I doing that? Is that main processor? Yeah. So this might be another slow thing. Because it seems like they kind of live in their own little world. But then again, maybe versions is a one-off? Yeah, it's, I mean, I probably could have copied those. All right, oh, we're an offsite. Reload. Version spawn changes from files. So the other thing I need okay, so you have never dealt with that. I guess I don't, no, bear caves are naturally spawning wide objects. So I guess I only technically need wide objects when I'm doing map generation. I just have to go back and figure out how is that a game data thing maybe? Oh shoot, that will end up being in the versions. Well, we know that one of our recent files I need data. Was the bear cave fix. Bear caves, so that's 630. Is it just wide? Left. Oh no, it's blocking radius for one. So it's probably going to show up there. So this is like the JSON data for the entire thing. This is where I need to know. See, did I implement that code already? I just want me to test it, or have I not implemented it? I have not implemented it at all. Make sure it's not possible the white object too close. Get max. Okay, so we do look at left and right blocking radius. Wide is then, I believe, oh, that's like max wide overall is just a convenience for left and right. So really, we have to have left and right. Now I know he has lots of like is. And tests. But this is really just going to be some data lookups. And pretty much straight up copies. Yeah, I mean, as long as our most recent version of our object. Now I need to be able to test this. Export versions. Our most recent versions, we know within that 10 we touch Bear Cave. So let's go back to doing one of these. Yay, we've done this so we can do it all again. Static edge. I don't know which one it uses for the existence check. Oh, I guess technically I'd have to be looking at that as a, is it a spawnable object? Oh, wait, do I have to do something? Oh, did I handle that properly? Because this, I need to look at, where did Doug Barrel Cactus change? Because that was, it's like the old version was natural, the new version is not. Anyway, we're working on that would have been 259. Okay, well, even though it's not pretty printed, we can see that it's got blocking. Oh, were you the Doug Barrel Cactus fix? Map chant 0. Okay, so yes, we are handling that correctly. Now we just have to do all that processing again. Too many windows. Oh. Well. The previous cutoff. Yeah, just including that data. I don't know that that's ever going to be a changed property. Where are commit? Map chance. These are changed attributes. So this is less. Certain. So like if it was a naturally spawning object that had its blocking radius changed, it would affect map gen. I think Bear Cave is the only big naturally spawning object, but has it always done that? Well, any update to it will include that. Diesel mining pick, but you're not a naturally spawning object. Okay, you touched a line that included blocks walking. I don't think fences do that. Yeah, you like every object creation is going to have it. Can we say, because that's going to be most of them. Oil pump. You're not a naturally occurring object. You're not a naturally occurring object. Missing transitions. You were deleted. Transmitter and receiver. This might be some Newcomen tools, which it's like there's some naturally spawning things, but I don't. So you've got like sand, you've got some of the copper and chemical stuff. I kind of need to be able to say if it's a naturally spawning object and it has that, but it probably show up in like a size fix that if it changed. Yeah, lathe. Should a Terry spot? Okay, there's a blocks walking. Like preset, it's okay, kerosene pump, that's fine. Working objects and sprites. Yeah, that's all oil drilling. So it's probably gonna be the rig itself. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be very common to change that property. I could see it being a kind of bug fix. Animations. Grizzly Bear Bear Cave. Okay, so it was created in that form. And that's going to be pretty early on. Yep, and then we're done. And okay, so I have to do this. I'm gonna have to do this on other computer. Where I can get the sprite bounds. But this is all the stuff we need to like pre-process. So I guess the disadvantage. Well, no, because I don't think I was using biome data in any pre-biome generation version of it, so I don't think pre-uploading the files would be a problem. I just wasn't using Object Master all that much. I might still be able to ask if I'm using everything in Object Master, because I don't know if I'm using the object names right now. Oh, there was the question of should we separate bounds. So I could build other stuff elsewhere, but ultimately this is probably all going to be like one. So that didn't have to rebuild versions for the other version. Okay, I never got around to clearing these. Whole map. All right, so from our wrapper, we do IDs and bounds. Oh, no, we need names because of the functional attributes in there. Now, if it's just grid placement, I could go back and include that in my spawn data. For that matter, that might be something that changes over time. You may have even experimented with some springs, but 40 will cover you for most of history. So we are using the names. Alright, so this needs to get packaged up. It needs to get run where we can process sprites, which I think I'll have to tweak some code back. Then we need to get the map to read all the object changes and build up biome spawns for each of those versions. So that we can actually do things accurately. Okay, well this is just gonna run. That computer just can be run. It's about time to break anyway. So unfortunately, it's gonna be, what, Friday till I can actually get to integrating this stuff. And I still have to fix the placement data to account for possibly occurring natural objects, which is probably going to blow up our file size a bunch. I'm going to have to think about whether it's actually useful to tile those. We have to consider, like, if any object could have overflowed. Anyway, that's next time. Thanks for watching. Thanks to everybody who hosted me. else do we got going on? And this is about when I'm usually on. Wednesday is rolling out. Let's see. See somebody learning Python. If you're looking for someplace cool to hang out, Oh Boy is doing a live homework session. But thanks for hanging out with me. Goodbye and until next time.